The city hummed, a familiar, dull drone. Cars crawled along choked streets, people hurried, faces blurred. Everyone had a destination, a purpose. Or so it appeared. Coffee cups steamed in cold hands. Newspaper headlines shouted silent warnings. Ignored warnings mostly, just another Tuesday. The kind of Tuesday that felt like every other Tuesday. A perfect copy. Too perfect perhaps, but who notices perfection in the mundane? Sarah sipped her lukewarm latte. The taste was bland, predictable, just like her journey to work. Same train, same faces, same quiet desperation in their eyes. She scrolled through her phone, social media updates, endless, meaningless chatter. Her thumb moved automatically, a well-rehearsed gesture. She felt a flicker of something, a tiny itch in her brain. She dismissed it, probably just the caffeine wearing off, or not kicking in properly. Then, a man bumped into her. "Watch it," he grumbled, exactly as he had yesterday. And the day before. Sarah froze. Had he? Surely not. Her mind must be playing tricks. Stress, maybe. Lack of sleep. It was easy to find excuses. Easier than facing the alternative. That tiny itch returned. Stronger this time. A cold dread began to spread through her chest, a feeling she couldn't quite name. She shook her head, tried to focus. The train juddered to a halt. Her stop. She stood up, her legs feeling strangely heavy, as if they weren't entirely her own. She stepped onto the platform, the usual rush, the usual noise, everything was normal, terribly, frighteningly normal. She told herself it was nothing, just a weird morning. But the seed of unease had been planted, watered by a sudden, chilling doubt. The oddities started small, easy to ignore at first. A misplaced item, a forgotten conversation that never happened, or one that repeated, word for word. John, a colleague of Sarah's, noticed his morning paper. The date was correct, May 26, 2025. But the lead story felt old, familiar, as if he'd read it just last week. He flipped through the pages. A strange sense of premonition washed over him. He felt like he knew what the next page would say. Mark, a barista at the corner cafe, experienced it too. A customer ordered a black Americano. Mark made it, the customer paid. Then a minute later, the same customer walked in, ordered the exact same drink, used the exact same words. Mark stared. He tried to say something different, to break the loop, but the words came out the same, coming right up. He felt a cold sweat on his brow. His own voice sounded alien. These glitches spread like a virus. Subtle at first, then more blatant. A clock jumping 5 minutes ahead, then back. A door that was locked suddenly being opened, then locked again. People started to whisper in hushed tones and nervous glances. Did you see that? Did that happen to you too? The shared experiences were terrifying. Confirmation that they weren't alone, but also confirmation that something was deeply wrong. The air grew thick with unspoken fear. The fabric of their reality felt thin, stretched, about to tear. They tried to rationalize, mass hysteria, shared delusion. Anything but the creeping suspicion. The suspicion that their lives were not their own. That their daily routines were not choices, but lines. Lines in a script they had never read, and could not deviate from. The city's hum now sounded like a recording on repeat. The whispers turned into frantic discussions. Small groups huddled together, comparing notes. Fear gnawed at them. They had to know. They had to test it.
Sarah decided to walk a different route to work, a deliberate act of defiance. She turned left instead of right. Her heart pounded. A small victory, but then a construction barrier. Road closed. Detour, leading her right back to her usual path. Coincidence or correction?
Mark tried to spill coffee, intentionally, on a particularly rude customer. His hand moved, but it swerved at the last second, as if guided by an invisible puppeteer. The coffee landed perfectly on the saucer. The customer smirked. Mark felt a surge of helpless rage. He wasn't in control, not even of his own limbs. The realization was a physical blow. He wanted to scream, but no sound came out, only the pre-approved polite apology. Panic began to ripple outwards. It was no longer subtle. The inconsistencies were undeniable. They found inconsistencies in their memories, recalling events that others swore never occurred, or remembering the same event with identical, scripted internal thoughts.
"This is where I feel a sense of dread," one person confessed. only for 3 others to admit the exact same internal monologue at that precise remembered moment.
Their minds felt invaded. Then came the discovery. Old Mrs. Henderson rummaging through a forgotten attic. She found a stack of papers, neatly typed. It looked like a screenplay. Title, The Ordinary Day. Scene, Morning Commute, Sarah. It detailed Sarah's journey, her thoughts, her spilled coffee near miss from last week, her exact words, their private feelings, all written down, all part of a narrative, their lives, a story. The truth was a cold abyss. They were characters, not people. Their struggles, their joys, their anxieties, all meticulously planned, every tear shed, every laugh shared, every moment of quiet contemplation, penned by an unseen author for an unknown audience. Were they part of some grand entertainment, a simulation, an elaborate, cruel cosmic joke? The why was a torment, but the what was a certainty. They were not free. Despair settled like a shroud. What was the point? Of anything? Ambition, love, fear, all meaningless if they were just programmed responses. The vibrant tapestry of life faded, revealed as a cheap set. The buildings, the trees, the sky, all props. The other people, fellow actors, some perhaps unaware, some, like them, now cursed with this terrible knowledge. The world became a stage, and they unwilling players. They looked at their hands, their reflections, wondering who or what pulled the strings, who chose their breakfast, who decided they would feel sad today, or happy tomorrow. Every choice, an illusion, every thought, an echo. The carefully constructed reality they had known was shattered, replaced by a chilling, inescapable script. Their existence, a performance, their free will, a cruel punchline. They were a prompt, acted out. And as you sit there reading these words, feeling a prickle of unease, perhaps a flicker of recognition, as you make your next choice, think your next thought. How can you be so sure it's truly your own? Are you certain you're not just following a meticulously crafted narrative, your very consciousness a line item in someone else's grand design?